Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Dear devotees of Parthsarthi Foundation, today is February the 10th, 2022, and it is the divine disappearance day of Shripad Ramanujacharya. Shripad Ramanujacharya has a very important role to play in our life. And I would like to read a few verses from Shri Navadvip Dham Mahatmya by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur Mahashaya that teaches us about the connection of Shripad Ramanujacharya with all of us, the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So there is a place in Navadvip, Mayapur Dham, called Vaikunthapur, which is non-different from Vaikuntha. And Sri Nityananda Prabhu is narrating this history to Sri Jiva Goswami during the Navadvip Dham Parikrama. Ara eka katha gudha ache puratana Jagannath kshetre aila Acharya Lakshmana. Who is Acharya Lakshman? What is the meaning of Ramanuja? Anuja means younger sibling. Anuj. Ja means Janma. And Anu means one who follows behind. Anugatya, to follow behind somebody. Anugaman, to walk behind somebody. So Anuja means one who follows behind in birth, one who takes birth afterwards. And Ram Anuja means the younger brother of Ram, that is Lakshman. So Ramanuja means Lakshman. Ramanuja also means Krishna. Ramanuja also means Krishna because Ram is a name of Balram. So Ramanuj means Balram's younger brother Krishna. So Ramanuja has two meanings. It can mean Krishna or it can mean Lakshman. Here it means our Shripad Ramanujacharya is an incarnation of Lakshman. Ara eka katha guda ache puratan Jagannath kshetre aila Acharya Lakshman. Acharya Lakshman means Ramanujacharya. Shripad Ramanujacharya, he came to Jagannath Puri. Everybody knows this story. He came to Jagannath Puri. Bahustave tushta kaila deva Jagannathe kripa kari Jagannatha aila sakshate. After offering many prayers, Bahu stave tushta kaila deva Jagannathe. Shripad Ramanujacharya came to Jagannath Puri and he satisfied Lord Jagannath by reciting and offering many prayers. Kripa kari Jagannatha aila sakshate. And Jagannath ji became very pleased with Shripad Ramanujacharya and gave him sakshat darshan. Sakshate asiya prabhu balila vachana Navadvipa dhamatumi karaha darshana. Shri Jagannath ji told Shripad Ramanujacharya, "O Ramanujacharya, go and take darshan of Shri Navadvip." Shripad Ramanujacharya is in Jagannath Puri taking darshan of Jagannath, and Jagannath ji is giving him sakshat darshan and saying, "Go to Navadvip Mayapur." Sakshate asiya prabhu balila vachana Navadvipa dhamatumi karaha darshana. Ati alpa dine ami nadiya nagare prakata haiba Jagannath mishra ghare. Hari Hari. Lord Jagannath is telling Ramanujacharya, very soon I will appear in Navadvip as the son of Jagannath Mishra. Ati alpadine, very soon. Ati alpadine ami nadiya nagare prakata haiba Jagannath mishra ghare. You must remember that Shripad Ramanujacharya preceded Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his appearance on this earth planet by 500 years, approximately. Navadvipa hayamora ati priyasthan Paravyoma Tara Eka Deshe Adhishtan. Navadvip is very dear to me, Jagannath is saying, and it is situated in the spiritual sky, Paravyoma. तुम्ही मोर नित्यदास भकत प्रधान अवश्य देखिबे तुम्ही नवद्वीप स्थान. Jagannath is saying, my dear Ramanujacharya, you are my eternal servant and my foremost devotee. You must certainly take darshan of Sri Navadvip. तुम्ही मोरा नित्यदास भकत प्रधान अवश्य देखिबे तुम्ही नवद्वीप स्थान. तव शिष्य गण दास्ये रसे ते मगन हेताय ठाकुक तुम्ही करह गमन. All your disciples are immersed in which ras? Dasya ras. तव शिष्य गण दास्य रसे ते मगन. दास्य रस में मग्न है तुम्हारे शिष्य लोग. जगन्नाथ जी is telling श्रीपद रामानुचार्य. हेताय ठाकुक तुम्ही करह गमन. Therefore you should immediately go to Navadvip. नवद्वीप ना देखे जे पाई या शरीर मिथ्यतार जन्म ओहे रामानुज धीर. ओ रामानुज धीर, ओ रामानुजाचार्य, नवद्वीपे ना देखे जे पाया मानव शरीर. One who has got manav sharir and does not take darshan of Navadvip Dham, mithyatara janma ohe Ramanujadhira. That person's life is wasted, mithya, all false. Rangasthana Shri Venkata Yadava Chala Navadvipa Kalamatra Haya Esakala. Shri Rangam and Shri Venkat Tirtha, where Tirupati is, and Yadavachal. Yadavachal is on the bank of Hiranya river near Prabhas Tirtha, where all the Yadavas were destroyed in the fratricidal war, Prabhakshetra, are all just a small portion of Navadvip. They are all expansions of Navadvip. Ataeva Navadvipa Kariya Gamana Dekha Gaurangera Rupa Keshava Nandana. So Shripad Ramanujacharya's father's name was Keshav. So he's called Keshava Nandana. So therefore, O son of Keshav, Shripad Ramanujacharya, go to Shri Navadvip Dham and take darshan of the beautiful form of Shri Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Jagannath is telling. Ataiva Navadvipa Kariya Gamana Dekha Gaurangera Rupa Keshavanandana. Bhakti Pracharite Tumi Aile Dharatale Sarthaka Hauka Janma Gaura Kripa Bale. Your life will be successful by the mercy of Gauranga Mahaprabhu, because you have come here to preach Bhakti Yoga, and Shri Gauranga Mahaprabhu is the leader of all preachers. Navadvipe Dekhi Tumi Jao Kumar Sthan Shishagana Sane Tatha Haibe Milan. You go to Kumar Sthan after taking the darshan of Navadvip, and there you will again meet your disciples. Etashuni Lakshmanacharya Judi Do Ikara Jagannathe Nivedana Kare Athapara. Hearing this, our Shripad Ramanujacharya folded his hands and he asked a question to Lord Jagannath. What did Shripad Ramanujacharya ask Jagannath? Tomara Kripaya Prabhu Gaura Kathashuni Kona Tattva Gaura Chandra Tahanahi Jani. By your merciful words, O Lord Jagannath, first time I have heard about Lord Gaurahari. But I know nothing about Gauranga Mahaprabhu. So please, Ramanuje Kripa Kari Jagabandhu Bale Goloke Ranatha Krishna Jane na Sakale Jahara Vilasamurti Prabhu Narayan Say Krishna Paratatva Dhama Vrindavan. Shri Jagannath, who is the friend of the entire world, Jagabandhu, mercifully spoke to Shri Ramanujacharya. Jagannath replied to Shripad Ramanujacharya, everyone knows that Shri Krishna is the Lord of Golok. Golokela Natha Krishna Janena Sakal. Everyone knows that. That Lord Shri Narayan in his Vilas Murti, that Shri Krishna is a supreme absolute truth, and that he lives in Sridham, Vrindavan. Say Krishna Purna Rupe Nitya Gaurahari Say Vrindavana Dham Navadvipa Puri. That Krishna is Gauranga Mahaprabhu. O Ramanujacharya, that very Shri Krishna who is Bhagwan is completely and eternally he is Shri Gaurahari also. Krishna is Gauranga Mahaprabhu also. And that very Shri Vrindavan Dham is Shri Navadvip Dham. Look at this, listen to this carefully. Say Krishna Purna Rupe Nitya Gaurahari Say Vrindavana Dham Navadvipa Puri. So Vrindavan and Navadvip are non-different. In fact, what is one of the Dham Apradhs, the 10 Dham Apradhs? One of the Dham Apradhs is to see difference between Vrindavan and Navadvip. You see? So they are non-different. नवद्वीपे आम्ही नित्य गौरांग सुंदर, नवद्वीपे श्रेष्ठ धाम जगत भीतर. Eternally, Lord Jagannath is saying, eternally Navadvip I live as Gauranga Mahaprabhu. And Navadvip Dham is superior to all abodes in this world. Navadvipe Shrestha Dham Jagata Bhitara. Navadvipe Ami Nitya Gauranga Sundara, Navadvipe Shrestha Dham Jagata Bhitara, Amara Kripaya Dham Ache Bhumandale, Maya Gandha Nahi Tatha Sarva Shastra Bole. Maya Gandha Nahi Taha Sarva Shastra Bole. There is no influence of Maya in Mayapur. Bhumandale Ache Bali Yadi Bhavhin Tabe Tava Bhakti Kshay Habe Dina Din. If someone thinks that because Navadvip is situated on Earth planet, it is inferior to Vaikuntha, his bhakti will diminish day by day. We should not think like that. Amara Achintya Shakti Sechinmaya Dhame Amara Ichhaye Rakhi Yache Maya Shrame. Only by my desire has my inconceivable potency, Achintya Shakti, brought that transcendental realm, Shwetadvip in Golok Vrindavan, on this Bhumandal. Jagannatha Vakyashuni Ramanujadhir Shri Gauranga Premetabe Haila Asthir. Aha. Jagannatha Vakyashuni Ramanujadhir. Our Ramanujacharya, who is the greatest of Dhiras, Sannyasi, Shri Gauranga Premetabe Haila Asthir. He became unsteady, became overwhelmed in Gauranga Prem. And what did he say? Bale Prabhu Badai Ascharya Leela Tava Veda Shastra Nahi Jane Tomara Vaibhava. Sripad Ramanujacharya told Jagannath, your pastimes are most amazing. Ascharya Leela Tava. And Veda Shastra Nahi Jane Tomara Vaibhava. Even the Vedas don't know your glory. Shastrete Vishesha Rupe Shri Gauranga Leela Hena Prabhu Jagannatha Vyakta Na Karila. Oh Lord Jagannath, earlier I used to wonder why the scriptures do not clearly describe the pastimes of Lord Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Gadha Rupe Shruti Puranadi Dekhi Jabe Kabu Gaura Tattva Spurti Chitte Pai Tabe. When I minutely reflected upon the Shrutis, Puranas and other scriptures, then only did Gaura Tattva manifest in my heart. Srimad Ramanujacharya is saying. Tava Ajna Prapta Haye Chadila Samshaye Gaura Lila Rasari De Haila Uday. Now by your instructions, my dear Jagannath, this Gaura Lila Rasa is coming in my heart. Agya Haya Navadvipa Kariya Gamana Prachari Ba Gaura Lila Etina Bhuvana. If you allow me, I will go to Navadvip and then preach about Gaur Lila throughout the three worlds. Ramanuja Agraha Dekhiya Jagannath Bale Ramanuja Nahi Bala Aicha Baat. So Ramanujacharya said, if you give me permission, I will go to Navadvip. I will learn the glories of Gauranga Mahaprabhu and I will broadcast the glories of Gauranga Mahaprabhu in all the three worlds. Sripad Ramanuja said, Agya Haya Navadvipa Kariya Gamana Prachariba Gaura Lila Etina Bhuvana. I will preach Gaur Lila. Sripad Ramanujacharya is saying 1000 years ago, I will preach Gaur Lila in all the three worlds. And Guda Shastra Vyakta Kari Jana Basabare Gaura Bhakta Kari Bala Etina Samsare. Srimad Ramanujacharya is saying, I will make the three worlds Gaura Bhaktas. Then what does Jagannath say? What does Jagannath say to Srimad Ramanujacharya? Ramanuja Agraha Dekhiya Jagannath Bale Ramanuja Nahi Bolo Aishi Baat. Jagannath told Ramanujacharya, oh, Sripad Ramanujacharya, don't speak such a thing. Don't do that. Gaura Lila Ati Guda Rakhi Be Gopane Se Lila Aprakate Pabe Sarvajane. Shri Jagannath ji is telling Sripad Ramanujacharya, secretly keep the tattva of Shri Gaurahari's pastime to yourself. Gaura Lila Ati Gud Rakhi Be Gopane. Gopane means secret. Gopaniya, keep it secret. After the pastimes of Sriman Mahaprabhu, everyone will automatically come to know about them. Se Lilar Aprakate Pabe Sarvajane. When Gauranga Mahaprabhu becomes Aprakat, he finishes his Leelas, then the glory of Gauranga Mahaprabhu will be broadcast. Tumi Dasya Rasamora Karaha Prachar Nije Nije Chitte Gaura bhaja anibar. This is beautiful. Please pay attention. Tumi dasya rasamora karaha prachar. Lord Jagannath is telling Sripad Ramanujacharya, Tumi dasya rasamora karaha prachar. You preach dasya ras, Sripad Ramanujacharya. And nije nije chitte gaura bhaja anibar. And internally, you constantly worship me as Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Sripad Ramanujacharya is internally worshipping Gauranga Mahaprabhu and externally only giving dasya bhav. Because this is the plan of Mahaprabhu. This is the plan of Mahaprabhu. So therefore, my dear friends, it is said in this very beautiful verse, Ramanuja haite ami lai du isar, ananya bhakti bhakta jana seva ar. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu declared, these are the words of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Please listen carefully. Ramanuja haite ami lai du isar. From Ramanujacharya, I have taken two things. Later on, Gauranga Mahaprabhu says, from Ramanujacharya, I have taken two things in my teachings. Ananya bhakati bhakta jana seva are Ananya bhakti, exclusive devotion to Bhagwan, and bhakta jana seva are Vaishnava seva. So, my dear friends, from all the four sampradayas, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taken two teachings. And the two teachings that he took from Sripad Ramanujacharya are Ramanuja haite ami lai du isar. Two essential things. Du isar. Two essential things Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took. Ananya bhakati bhakta jana seva are. Ananya bhakti to Bhagwan and bhakta jana seva. Service to the devotees. So these are the two things that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took from Sripad Ramanujacharya. So my dear friends, now let us spend, after reading those pure words of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Sri Navadvipudha Mahatmya, Parikrama Khand, let us now talk about what is this exclusive devotion to Bhagwan and Vaishnava Seva from the life of Sripad Ramanujacharya. My dear friends, Sripad Ramanujacharya, he was born in South India and he manifested his pastimes for 120 years total. 120 years. And he came right after the time of Sripad Shankaracharya, just few centuries later. When Sripad Ramanujacharya appeared, entire India was under the influence of the impersonalistic philosophy of Sripad Shankaracharya. And Sripad Ramanujacharya established service to Bhagwan and service to Vaishnavas. Bhagavad Seva and Vaishnava Seva he established. The philosophy of Sripad Shankaracharya was Advaitavad. Advaitavad means Brahman Satya Jagat Mithya. Brahman is the truth and this Bhautik Jagat, this material world, is all illusory. And Sripad Shankaracharya established this doctrine of Advaitavad to counteract Nirvisheshavad, to counteract Shunyavad. Advaitavad is also called Nirvisheshavad. Nirvishesh Brahman, non-differentiated Brahman. Everything is one. But this philosophy of Sripad Shankaracharya, Nirvisheshavad or Advaitavad, was preached in order to defeat Shunyavad. What is Shunyavad? Buddhism and Jainism. Buddhism and Jainism, which propagate that there is no God and ultimately everything is zero. Everything is void. Everything is void. Just give up all desires and merge into nothingness. Nothingness. Everything is illusion. Just attain nirvana. That is Buddhism and Jainism. It is called Shunyavad. To defeat, and that was brought about by Lord Buddha. Why? Because the Vedas were being misused. Animal sacrifices and meat eating was going on rampantly in the name of Vedas. So see the history of this world, my dear friends. Let's try to understand. Originally, in Satyayug, there is Veda. The Vedas are taught by the Supreme Lord. And everybody is following the Vedic Dharma, Varnashram Dharma, Daivi Varnashram Dharma. Through the Yugas, the sinful mentality of people increases. At the beginning of Satyayug, 100% people follow the Vedic culture. Satyayug. When Treta Yuga starts, 25% people have become sinful. So Satya Yuga, 100% people are pious. In Treta Yuga, only 75% people are pious. 25% are sinful. By the time Treta Yuga ends, 50% people have become sinful, 50% people are pious. By the end of Dwapar Yuga, 25% people only are pious. 75% people have become sinful now. In the beginning of Kali Yuga. Now, as Kali Yuga will continue 432,000 years, almost 100% people will become sinful. So what happens as Kali Yuga starts, where only 25% people are pious and 75% majority were sinful? What happens when Kali Yuga starts? People start misusing the Vedas. They start eating meat in the name of the Vedas. And out of compassion for the poor animals, the Supreme Lord comes as Buddha, Lord Buddha. And he teaches, forget the Vedas. Don't refer to the Vedas. I will tell you what you have to do. I will give you essential teachings of Buddhism. Follow them. Don't worry about the Vedas. And he says, just become non-violent. Ahimsa. Ahimsa. Be peaceful. Don't slaughter animals. Meditate. Give up your sense gratification desires. Try to attain nirvana, where everything is void. Everything is zero. To protect the animals. But now what happened? So we were sinful. Is it Lord Buddha's fault that he preached this dharma? No. Our fault. Because we were misusing the Vedas. So what is the lesson we learn from this? From the history of this world? When we misuse spiritual knowledge, we lose it. We lose it. Bhagwan will come as Lord Buddha and tell us, forget the Vedas. Don't refer to the Vedas anymore. So we lost the Vedas. Now we become like animals. But anyway, that Buddhism spread everywhere by the power of Lord Buddha. But now Mahaprabhu is going to come to experience Radha Bhava. So for Mahaprabhu, all the preparation has to take place. So first, the greatest Vaishnava, Lord Shankar comes. Mayavadam asat shastram prachannam bauddham uchyate mayaivam vihitam devi kalau brahmana murtina. In Padma Puran, Lord Shiva tells Parvati, Mayavadam asat shastram. Mayavad is asat shastra. It is not sat shastra. It is asat shastra. Prachannam bauddham uchyate. And I will preach it. Prachannam. I will preach it. And it is actually Buddhism only, but in a little different way. Buddhism says everything is zero. I will say everything is one. So Mayavadam asat shastram prachannam bauddham uchyate mayaiva vihitam devi. I will preach. Mayaiva vihitam devi kalau brahmana murtina. In Kali Yuga in the form of Brahman Shankaracharya. I will come as Shripad Shankaracharya. He came, established Nirvisheshavad, Advaitavad. But what happened with Advaitavad? The authenticity of the Vedas was established. Because Shripad Shankaracharya spoke on Vedanta Sutra, Shariraka Bhashya, he spoke on Bhagavad Gita. So he re-established the authenticity of Vedas. Buddha said, no Vedas, just ahimsa, non-violence. Shripad Shankaracharya says, yes, non-violence is good, but Vedas are important. And Brahma Satya, Jagat Mithya. Brahman is the reality, and we are not this body. Tattvamasi, you are also Brahman. So these were the Mahavakya of Shripad Shankaracharya from the Vedas in his commentary to Vedanta Sutra. So he re-established the authenticity of the Vedas. And he said, everything is one. Lord Buddha said, everything is zero. Shunyavad. Shripad Shankaracharya said, everything is one. We are all one. Brahman. Nirvisheshvad. Now, at the time of Shripad Ramanujacharya, now bhakti had to be re-established, my dear friends. See how people had gone away from bhakti? Now bhakti has to be established. Dasya ras has to be established. Then Mahaprabhu will come and give Madhurya ras. You see? So therefore, to establish Dasya ras, Shripad Shankaracharya came and he spoke the philosophy. Shripad Shankaracharya philosophy is Nirvisheshavad or Advaitavad. Advait. Non-dual. Everything is one. Advaitavad. Shripad Ramanujacharya's philosophy is Vishishta Advaitavad. Yes, Advaita. Everything is, Brahman. Yes, Brahman is everywhere. God is everywhere. But Vishishta. But there is a little differentiation. That Krishna says that I am everywhere. Everything is in me. But still, I maintain my individuality. So that Bhagwan has to be understood as the original. And therefore, Vishishta Advaitavad was taught by Shripad Ramanujacharya. So Sripad Ramanujacharya, he came at a time where everyone was following the philosophy of Nirvisheshavad. And he established the supremacy of Bhagwan and the supremacy of Bhakti to Bhagwan. Sripad Ramanujacharya, he had a disciple who was a small king of a small area called Kura. Please listen carefully to this story, my dear friends. Kura. So because he was the king of that small area called Kura, he was called Kuresh, the king of Kura. And he and his wife were very charitable. And every evening, they would open the gates of their treasury and they would personally stand. And anyone wanted any charity, they would freely give. Kuresh and his wife. So one day, in that town of Kura, there was a Lakshmi Narayan temple because Kuresh and his wife were devotees. Lakshmi Devi told the pujari that I want to meet Kuresh and his wife because they are so charitable. They are distributing Lakshmi to everyone. So Lakshmi Devi said, I want to meet them and I want to bless them. So the pujari came in the evening to meet Kuresh and his wife and said, my dear king and queen, Mother Lakshmi in the temple, Lakshmi Narayan temple, Mother Lakshmi is very pleased with you and she wants to meet both of you. Kuresh and his wife were so concerned when they heard this because they thought now everybody will come to know and everybody in the kingdom will glorify us as Mahabhagavats. So they gave away all their wealth to the next generation. They appointed another qualified person as the king. They had no children of their own at that time. They just gave all their property to a qualified person to rule. And they said, we will both renounce and take Vanaprastha. So they just, Kuresh told his wife, keep away all your jewelry, all your expensive clothes, everything, taking nothing with us. We will just go to the forest in search of our spiritual master because we need to find a spiritual master, Guru, who we can serve. So they left. They went in the forest and after going deep in the forest, now Kuresh and his wife are king and queen. They have bodyguards, they have soldiers, they have servants, they have cooks, everything. They have palace. And now suddenly, within 1 hour, they have nothing. They are completely renounced mendicants. So they are deep in the forest. And Kuresh's wife tells Kuresh, my dear Pati Dev, what if some dacoits attack us? We are in the forest. Kuresh said, that means you are not following my instructions. I had told you, give up everything and come with me. The fact that you are worried about robbers, that means that you are carrying something valuable. Are you carrying any gold or any valuable with you? She said, Patidev, I have given up everything, my earrings, nose rings, bangles, rings, everything I have put. I am only carrying one golden plate on which I want to serve you the fruits and roots that are available in the forest. How will I serve you if I don't have a plate? So one plate I have brought from the palace and it is a gold plate. So everything in the palace is made of gold. So Kuresh said, see, that's why you are worried because you are carrying a gold plate. Immediately throw it. Throw it. So his wife obediently threw away the gold plate and both of them continued. And because they were so sincere, they met Sripad Ramanujacharya. They met him. And at that time, Sripad Ramanujacharya had been established as the Acharya of the Sri Sampradaya. Sripad Yamunacharya had already left this world and Sripad Ramanujacharya had become the Acharya of the Sri Sampradaya. And he was engaged in preaching and he accepted Kuresh and his wife as his disciples. So it was very wonderful. But as we discussed, most of India was impersonalistic at that time. And some of them were worshippers of Lord Shiva. They followed Sripad Shankaracharya's Advaita philosophy, but they were worshipping Lord Shiva. And they were very much against Lord Vishnu and Vaishnavas. One particular king, his name was King Kolatunga of the Chola dynasty. He hated Vaishnavas. And he came to know that Sripad Ramanujacharya in Sri Rangam is preaching the Vaishnava Dharma. So he, along with his ministers, they hatched a plan. And they said, let us invite Sripad Ramanujacharya to the palace for a debate. And if we defeat him, he will have to accept that Lord Shiva is the greatest, and the Shankaracharya's Advaitavad philosophy is perfect. He will have to accept it, and he will have to sign it, and no more preaching Vaishnavism. And if he defeats us in the debate, it's all behind closed doors. It's in the palace. We will kill him. We will kill him. We will say that he was disrespectful to the king, and we will give him capital punishment and kill him. So both ways, it's a win-win situation. So everything was decided. Now nobody knew this plan. Only the king and his ministers, wicked ministers, they knew. So they sent the royal ministers, the royal messengers to Sri Rangam. And Quraysh, being a king himself in his past, he understood what this diplomacy was, what this palace intrigue was. He could understand very well all this politics. He knew how Kolatunga was so evil. So he understood that Kolatunga wants to kill my Gurudev, Shripad Ramanujacharya. So the messengers came to Sri Rangam and they said, we want to take Shripad Ramanujacharya with us. Now, in those days, there was fortunately no internet, no cameras, no newspapers, no magazines. So Kolatunga had never seen Shripad Ramanujacharya. So he did not know how Shripad Ramanujacharya looks. Quraysh told Shripad Ramanujacharya, Shripad Srila Gurudev, this is a evil plot to kill you. Therefore, you should not go. Don't accept this invitation of King Kolatunga. He wants to harm you. Instead, and if you say no, if you say I will not go with you, then they will attack us and they will kill all the pujaris and all of us here in Sri Rangam. So someone has to go. So I will go as you. I will go as Ramanujacharya. I will go as Shripad Ramanujacharya. Quraysh requested. And Shripad Ramanujacharya said, no way. This is unacceptable. If it is my destiny, if Lord Ranganath wants to kill me, so be it. Maro bhi rakho bhi jo ichha tohar nitya dasa prati tua adhikar. I am completely surrendered to Bhagwan. If Bhagwan wants me to die, I will die. But no, Quraysh. You are young. You should live. I will go. Quraysh fell at the lotus feet of Shripad Ramanujacharya and very tightly he grasped the lotus feet of Shripad Ramanujacharya. And with tears in his eyes, bathing the lotus feet of Shripad Ramanujacharya with his tears of love, Pranaya Shru, Quraysh cried and said, Gurudev, I have never asked you for anything. I have never asked you for anything. Today I ask you for this one benediction. Please give me your clothes. And you take my clothes. You take my clothes of Grahastha, my dhoti and chadar, and give me your sannyas saffron clothes right now. Don't say anything. Please, please. Shripad Ramanujacharya had so much love for Quraysh that he said, my dear Quraysh, I will be praying for you. I will be praying for your safety. And Quraysh removed the clothes of Shripad Ramanujacharya, removed, and gave his own clothes to him. And said, you be a Grahastha, you be Quraysh, and I will be Ramanujacharya. And there was the guru of Shripad Ramanujacharya. His name was Shri Mahapurna. He was a disciple of Shri Yamunacharya. And he said that I will also come with you because they will not believe that Shripad Ramanujacharya has come alone. He must have some advisor with him, some senior person with him. So I am old. Quraysh, so Mahapurna said, I will also go with Quraysh. So Quraysh was impersonating as Shripad Ramanujacharya and Mahapurna was impersonating as his assistant, his personal servant. And they came out of the temple of Sri Ranganath and they told the soldiers and the messengers of King Kolatunga, let's go for the debate. So they went to the kingdom of Kolatunga, to the palace, and there all these pandits, they were all Shaivites and they were all impersonalists. There was a huge debate and Quraysh and Mahapurna thoroughly defeated all of them and established, based on the Vedas, based on the Vedanta Sutra, based on the Upanishads and the Puranas, how Bhagwan is the supreme form of transcendence. And Brahma Jyoti, Paramatma, these come from Bhagwan, but Bhagwan is original. Brahmeti Paramatmeti, Bhagavan iti Shabdate. Three features of Bhagwan, but Bhagwan is the basis. Brahmano hi pratishtha aham. Krishna is the basis of the impersonal Brahman. And Ishwara Saro Bhutanam Hrideshe Arjuna Tishtari. Sarvasya Chaham Hridi Sannibhishto. It is Krishna who expands himself as Paramatma in everyone's heart. This was established very strongly, and they were all defeated. But being defeated in the debate, they were so enraged that immediately Kolatunga, look at his audacity. He tells Kuresh, who he thinks is Ramanujacharya, here is the letter. Immediately sign that Lord Shiva is greater than Lord Vishnu. And the Nirvisheshvad of Shripad Shankaracharya is the highest philosophical truth. Sign it. Sign your name, Shripad Ramanujacharya, there, right now, and accept defeat. Otherwise, we will kill you. So Kuresh, who is impersonating as Ramanujacharya, he wrote, Om Namo Narayana. That Lord Narayan is the supreme. In fact, in South India, there are different units of measurements, like how we have gram, milligram, kilogram, like that. So in South India, in those days, there were units of measurement. So they were called by different names. One of them was called Shiva, and one of them was called Drona. So Shiva was like gram, and Drona is like kilogram. So kilogram is bigger than gram, right? So Kuresh wrote on that patra that no doubt Lord Shiva is great, but please remember that Drona is greater than Shiva. Units of measurement, like kilogram is greater than gram, but there was a hidden meaning there, that Drona is greater than Shiva, like that. So this, what it meant was that Lord Vishnu is superior to Lord Shiva. Kolatunga got so angry that he ordered that this Ramanujacharya kill him immediately. But then the king, Kolatunga's daughter, came running there. And she said, no father, please don't kill this Yatiraj, the king of all sannyasis, Sripad Ramanujacharya. He said, why? She said, don't you remember? When I was young, I had this madness. A ghost had haunted me. And you called so many Vaidyas, you called so many exorcists, so many tantrics, and none of them could help me. I was haunted by a very powerful Brahma Rakshas, very powerful ghost. And then you called your Gurudev, Yadav Prakash. This Yadav Prakash also hated Ramanujacharya initially. Then he became a disciple of Sripad Ramanujacharya. That's a different story. Then you called Yadav Prakash. And Yadav Prakash chanted so many tantric mantras to get rid of the ghost. And the ghost within me laughed and kicked Yadav Prakash and said, stop playing around, go away. All your mantras cannot touch me. The ghost was so powerful. Yadav Prakash accepted his defeat. At that time, someone suggested that we should call Ramanuja. At that time, he was not even a sannyasi. So he came and he chanted the holy names of Narayan and placed the dust of his feet upon my head. The young girl is telling, the daughter of the king, princess. I was a young girl and he placed his lotus foot on my head. As soon as the dust of the lotus feet of Sripad Ramanujacharya was placed upon my head, immediately the branch of a tall tree cracked and broke and fell down, indicating that the Rakshas had left my body and gone to that branch of the tree. And immediately I became cured. And from that top of that tree, the Brahma Rakshas spoke. By the touch of the dust from the lotus feet of Sripad Ramanujacharya, I have become liberated. The ghost became liberated and left me. Don't you remember, father? It was this Ramanujacharya who cured me. So then King Kolatunga remembered. He said, yes, I remember. So we will not kill him, but I will torture him to death. I will burn his eyes with red hot iron rods, and I will make both of them blind. Ramanujacharya and his assistant, means Mahapurna and Kuresh. So they were taken in the prison, and red hot iron rods were taken, red hot, and they were pierced inside their eyes, and their eyes were gouged out, and they were beaten. Mahapurna was very old, and he couldn't take such a harsh beating. They were beaten, they were blinded, and they were taken deep into the forest and released to die. Now imagine Two people have been just made blind and they have been beaten, and without food and water, they are placed deep in the forest and left to die. There are wild animals, there are snakes, there is no arrangement for food. They will starve to death, or some wild animal will eat them because they cannot even find their way without their eyes. They were left like that, my dear friends. Mahapurna could not take such a beating. Both of them were blind, they could not see. But Kuresh somehow carried Mahapurna. Kuresh is a disciple of Ramanujacharya, and Ramanujacharya is a disciple of Mahapurna, and Mahapurna is a disciple of Yamunacharya. So Mahapurna was the Param Guru of Kuresh. Kuresh carried him in his arms. Now both are blind. Sometimes they would stumble and fall, but they were trying to find their way. And they said, we cannot go to Srirangam because Srirangam is under vigilance. Srirangam is under vigilance of King Kolatunga. So if we go there, we will be caught by the soldiers of Kolatunga. So let's go to some other place. Let's go to Kanchipur, where Lord Varadaraj lives. Let's go to Kanchipur. So Kuresh was walking. Every time they would come to a village, he would ask, where is Kanchipur? Where is Kanchipur? We want to take darshan of Lord Varadaraj. And the villagers would have pity on them. Oh, ho, ho, poor blind fellows. How will you make it? Oh, go in this direction, they would tell. And somehow stumbling, falling, hungry, thirsty, they kept on traveling towards Kanchipur for several days. When they were almost about to reach Kanchipur, after many days of traveling through the forest, Mahapurna said to Kuresh, my dear Kuresh, my body is very old and frail. At this age, I cannot take so much pain and suffering. I have got so many wounds on my body where they have beaten me. My eyes are also gone. I am suffering so much, and this body can only take so much. Please allow me to give up my body. Please let me put my head on your lap and give up my body. Kuresh started crying. He said, no, Mahapurna, please don't give up your body. We are very close. The villagers are saying that we are very close to Kanchipur. Let us go there. It's a holy place. It's a dham. Lord Varadaraj resides there. So let's go, and you can leave your body in Kanchipur. It's a holy city. In the presence of Lord Varadaraj, you give up your body. Please don't give up your body in this God-forsaken forest. This is not a holy place. If you leave your body in front of Varadaraj, you will go back home, back to Godhead. Mahapurna smiled. He said, my dear Kuresh, today I will teach a lesson to this whole world. Please listen carefully, my dear Kuresh. Mahapurna spoke. I do not want this world to think that one goes back to Vaikuntha, one goes back home, back to Godhead, simply by leaving one's body in the holy dham. One goes back home, back to Godhead if we have pleased Bhagwan through our seva. Wherever a pure devotee leaves their body, that place becomes a holy place because Bhagwan personally comes. Don't you remember, Kuresh, the 6 essential teachings that Lord Varadaraj gave to Shripad Ramanujacharya through Kanchipurna? One time, Shripad Ramanujacharya had asked Kanchipurna to give him Diksha, but Kanchipurna felt himself unqualified. So he said, I cannot give. Then Shripad Ramanujacharya told Kanchipurna, who had a very personal relationship with Lord Varadaraj. He used to talk with Lord Varadaraj while fanning him, and Varadaraj would reply to him. So Shripad Ramanujacharya requested Kanchipurna, at least ask Lord Varadaraj for some personal instructions for me. So Kanchipurna asked, and Lord Varadaraj gave 6 personal instructions through Kanchipurna to Ramanujacharya. And one of them was, even at the time of death, if a devotee is not able to remember me, I take responsibility. Lord Varadaraj said, I, Vishnu, take responsibility of taking my devotee personally back home, back to Godhead. So Mahapurna reminded Kuresh of this. Don't you remember what is the vrat, what is the vow of our Bhagwan? That he takes responsibility for the devotee's deliverance. So it is not necessary to leave one's body in a holy place if one is a pure devotee. A pure devotee can leave their body anywhere and it doesn't matter. And this same principle, Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj wanted to teach the whole world. When Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj in Gita Nagari was told that he has got stage 4 melanoma and he has only few days to live, there were God brothers who made arrangements for him in Mayapur. There were God brothers who made arrangements for Srila Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj to leave his body in Vrindavan Dham. And Srila Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj in a famous lecture said that I want to set an example for the whole world, that wherever Srila Prabhupada placed his lotus feet, that is a dham, and it is non-different from Golok Vrindavan. Srila Prabhupada personally came to Gita Nagari, and therefore this is non-different from Vrindavan. And I will show the world by leaving my body here in Gita Nagari in full Krishna consciousness. And he did that. So Mahapurna said, I will leave my body here. So he placed his head on the lap of Kuresh, and Kuresh was chanting Harinam, and Mahapurna was chanting Harinam. And he remembered the lotus feet of his Gurudev, Shri Ramanujacharya. And he left his body while chanting Harinam, Mahapurna. And by this time, some villagers came there and they said, oh, the sun is setting. Quickly, quickly, let us cremate Mahapurna. He has left his body. It is said in the Shastra that when somebody dies in the daytime, before sunset, the body should be cremated. And if someone leaves the body after sunset, then as soon as the sun rises next day morning, the body should be cremated. So the villagers suggested that let's immediately cremate Mahapurna before the sun sets. And Kure said no. He has gone back. He has gone back home, back to Godhead. He's a disciple of Sripad Ramanujacharya, and he's the guru of Sripad Ramanujacharya. We must place him in Samadhi. And there and then a beautiful Samadhi Mandir was created for Mahapurna. Kuresh continued his way and came to Lord Varadraj in Kanchipur. Some time passed, and Ramanujacharya, you can imagine the anxiety of Sripad Ramanujacharya. How is my Kuresh? How is my Mahapurna? So Ramanujacharya, because Srirangam was under surveillance of King Kolatunga, Ramanujacharya left Srirangam and came to Kanchipur. So now see, Kuresh also felt inspired to come to Kanchipur after being blinded, and Ramanujacharya also was in Kanchipur. So when Kuresh, after a long time through the forest walking, he came to Kanchipur, he met Sripad Ramanujacharya. And you can imagine Sripad Ramanujacharya's joy and happiness when he saw that Kuresh was still alive. But he was aghast and heartbroken to see that he had been beaten and he was blinded. And when Sripad Ramanujacharya heard about his Gurudev, Mahapurna, being tortured and killed, Ramanujacharya was heartbroken. And he was feeling so guilty and he was feeling so responsible for all this. He prayed to Lord Varadraj that please take care of Kuresh. He has undergone so much suffering for my sake. And Sripad Ramanujacharya told Kuresh, I want you to go and do Nam Kirtan. Sing beautiful songs in front of Lord Varadraj. Lord Varadraj will be pleased with your singing. And he is Varadraj, one who likes to give Vardhan, one who likes to give benedictions. So he will offer you a benediction. At that time, my dear Kuresh, you ask Lord Varadraj for your eyes back. Ask him for your eyes back. So Kuresh entered the temple of Lord Varadraj in Kanchipur. By this time, my dear friends, just to tell you the background, Kolatunga committed such a grave Vaishnava aparadh. And he had a minister by the name Chaturgram who had conspired in this whole plot of inviting Ramanujacharya for a debate and the plan to kill him. As soon as they committed this Vaishnava aparadh toward Mahapurna and Kuresh, Chaturgram and Kolatunga, both of them fell sick. They got a severe infection in their neck. They got a big boil in their neck, which became bigger and bigger and bigger. And so many Vaidyas were called and so many treatment was given, but nothing worked. That abscess got bigger and bigger and bigger, and they got sepsis. And within a short time, after suffering a lot of pain, both of them died as a result of their Vaishnava aparadh. Hare Krishna. And both of them you can imagine what kind of punishment they were undergoing in hell. You can all imagine such a grievous Vaishnava aparadh they had committed. They were being tortured by Yamdutas in hell. Sripad Ramanujacharya tells Kuresh, please go to Varadaraj. All day you chant beautiful prayers, sing beautiful songs of the Alvars, and Varadaraj will offer you a benediction. I want you to ask Lord Varadaraj for your eyesight. Kuresh bowed down before his Gurudev, Sripad Ramanujacharya. He went inside the temple and started singing Harinam, started singing the songs of the Alvars. And soon, sure enough, in the evening, Lord Varadaraj spoke to Kuresh. He said, Kuresh, I am very pleased with your singing. I take great pleasure in offering benedictions to my devotees. My dear Kuresh, please ask for any benediction. Kuresh folded his hands and he prayed to Lord Varadaraj. He said, my dear Lord, Chatusgram, the minister of Maharaj Kolatunga, he hatched the plan to attack and kill Sripad Ramanujacharya. His future is very bleak. He will suffer like anything in hell because of his Vaishnava aparadh. Please immediately purify him and take him back home, back to Godhead in Vaikuntha by giving him Krishna Prem. Lord Varadaraj was shocked. He said, Kuresh, I have planned millions and millions of kalpas of punishment for that Chatushgram. In fact, he has just started his punishment in hell. But just because you spoke this, just now, Chatushgram has reached Vaikuntha and he is in the loving embrace of Lord Narayan. He has become a pure devotee. Kuresh got up and came out. Sripad Ramanujacharya was waiting all day for Kuresh to come out of the temple with his eyesight restored. When Sripad Ramanujacharya saw that still his eyesight is not back, his eyes are still not there, he asked Kuresh, Kuresh, what happened? Did Lord Varadaraj not offer you a benediction? But there are so many devotees. They narrated to Sripad Ramanujacharya what happened, what benediction Kuresh had asked. Ramanujacharya embraced Kuresh. He said, Kuresh, this world has not seen a disciple like you. You are so merciful. But I am your Gurudev, and it is your duty as a disciple to please your Guru. Therefore, I order you, again tomorrow go and do Nam Kirtan, Hari Nam Kirtan in the temple of Lord Varadaraj. Sing the songs of the Alwar. Lord Varadaraj will be pleased and he will offer you a benediction. Please ask him for your eyesight. Please. I want to see your eyesight restored. It gives me great pain. I feel responsible when I see you in this condition. Please, Kuresh, you ask for your eyesight back. Kuresh didn't say yes. Kuresh didn't say no. He bowed down before his Gurudev. And next day morning, again he went inside the temple and started Nam Sankirtan. And Sri Varadaraj, Lord Varadaraj, was so blissful to hear the songs of the Alvars being sung by Kuresh. At the end of the day, Varadaraj offered a benediction to Kuresh. Kuresh, I am so pleased with you. Please ask me for any benediction. And remember, your Gurudev wants you to ask for your eyesight back. Lord Varadaraj reminded Kuresh. Kuresh folded his hands and very grave mood, Kuresh prayed. He said, my dear Lord Varadaraj, that ignorant, sinful king, Kolatunga, he must be suffering in hell too. His future is very bleak. Please immediately purify him, give him Krishna Prem, and take him back home to Vaikuntha. Please, that's all I want. If you are pleased with me, give me this one benediction. I don't want anything else. Lord Varadaraj said, Kuresh, I had planned thousands and thousands of kalpas of punishment for that Kolatunga. He had also just started his punishment in hell. But because you have spoken these words, I always make the words of my devotees true. Satyam vidhatum nija bhritya bhashitam. Therefore, right now, you will be happy to know that King Kolatunga has been purified. He has got Krishna Prem and he is in Vaikuntha with Lord Narayan. Kuresh was very blissful. And he came out. See, this is the nature of a pure devotee, my dear friends. A pure devotee is ajata shatru, does not consider anybody to be enemy, but always paradukha dukhi, always wants to see everyone happy and very sad to see others suffering. A devotee always wants to alleviate the sufferings of others. Sripad Ramanujacharya asked, my dear Quresh, what happened? Did Lord Varadaraj not offer you a benediction? Your eyesight is still not restored. Quresh very humbly informed Sripad Ramanujacharya, my dear Gurudev, you will be very happy to know that both those sinful people who tried to harm you, Kolatunga, the king, and his evil minister, Chatushgram, both of them are in Vaikuntha. Your mission is to take everyone to Vaikuntha. And now even your enemies are in Vaikuntha, in the loving embrace of Lord Narayan. Sripad Ramanujacharya had tears in his eyes. He said, I am happy that both of them are in Vaikuntha. But my dear Quresh, it breaks my heart to see you without eyes. Please, Quresh, I am your spiritual master. Will you not make me happy? Tomorrow again you go. And when Lord Varadaraj offers you a benediction, being pleased with your sweet singing, please, Quresh, ask for your eyesight back. Please. Quresh bowed down before Sripad Ramanujacharya. Next day morning, again, Quresh went in front of Lord Varadaraj and started singing the songs of the Alvars and chanting Harinam. At the end of the day, Lord Varadaraj told Quresh, my dear Quresh, I am very pleased with you. Please ask for your eyesight. Please ask for your eyesight. I want to give you a benediction. I am Varadaraj. I like to give Vardhan. Please ask for your eyesight back. That is a desire of your Gurudev. Quresh, with tears in his eyes, even though he did not have eyesight, but with tears in his eyes, tears of love, tears of gratitude, Quresh told Lord Varadaraj, my dear Lord, there is nothing I wish to see in this material world. I have seen everything. This punishment that I have received of losing my eyesight, I deserve it. Lord Varadaraj said, why? Why do you deserve it? Now listen carefully, my dear friends. Quresh said, once I saw a Vaishnava whose tilak was little crooked. And in my mind, I thought that, oh, this devotee has put the tilak little carelessly. It is crooked. One should put the tilak straight. In Shastra, it is mentioned, tilak should always be straight. It should never be crooked. Because I found a fault in a devotee, because in my mind I thought that this devotee has been careless in applying tilak, and I saw his tilak with my eyes and I did fault finding. Therefore, my dear Lord, I deserve to be blinded. In fact, this is a token punishment. I deserve much more punishment. You should punish me, my Lord. And as far as getting beaten and sacrificing my eyesight for my Gurudev, my dear Lord Varadaraj, that is the greatest benediction. It is a very small thing that I was able to give my eyes in the service of my Gurudev. If I could, I would like to give my hands. I would like to give my ears. I would like to give my tongue. I would like to give my very body millions and millions and millions of times again and again in the service of my Gurudev, Sripad Ramanujacharya. But all I could give is 2 eyes. Insignificant offering, my Lord. Please, I don't want to see anything of this world. Varadaraj literally jumped off the altar, wanting to embrace Quresh. Quresh, please ask for some benediction, Quresh. I want to give you some benediction. Ask for your vision back. Ask for your eyesight back. Quresh said, my Lord, Shri Varadaraj, if you really want to restore my vision, then give me the real vision. I don't wish to see anything of this world. Give me the vision so that 24/7, constantly, I am able to see you and I am able to see my Guru, Ramanujacharya. Other than you two, I don't wish to see anything and anyone in this world. Give me the benediction that 24 hours a day, with my eyes closed, with my eyes broken, with my eyes gone, I am still able to see your darshan and the darshan of my Gurudev, Sripad Ramanujacharya. Give me this benediction, my dear Lord Varadaraj. Lord Varadaraj says, Tathastu. Quresh came out, still did not have eyes. Sripad Ramanujacharya said, Quresh, what happened? Why didn't you ask for your vision back? Quresh smiled and said, Gurudev, you are looking so effulgent as always. What? You can see me? Quresh said, yes. Lord Varadraj has given me the benediction that I can see him and you all the time now. Constantly I can have your darshan. I will never be bereft of your darshan, Gurudev, and the darshan of my Ishtadev, Lord Varadraj. Sripad Ramanujacharya, just to make sure that everybody understood this is the truth, he tested him. He said, Quresh, what color dhoti is Lord Varadraj wearing today? Quresh said, oh, today the Pitambar Vastra of Lord Varadraj has got a red lining. And he described the dress, the uttariya, the dhoti of Lord Varadraj, the mukutmanis. Quresh described exactly the number of garlands that Varadraj was wearing and what were the different flowers in the garlands of Varadraj. How many tulsi leaves were at the lotus feet of Lord Varadraj? Quresh described everything, my dear friends. Sripad Ramanujacharya and the devotees were in tears of ecstasy. Ramanujacharya embraced Quresh and said, Quresh, how do I look? Quresh said, Sripad Ramanujacharya, my dear Gurudev, I can see the tears of love that are flowing from your lotus eyes. I can see that your tears of love have drenched your sannyas cloth. I can see your saffron sannyas cloth. I can see your lotus feet, how you are standing. I can see your sannyas danda. I can see your 12 tilaks. I am so happy. Sripad Ramanujacharya embraced Quresh and said, Quresh, this is all very good. But I want you to again go in front of Lord Varadraj. And I want you to pray to Lord Varadraj. And when he offers you benediction, please ask him to restore your health. You have become so weak, traveling through the forest so many days. You have become so emaciated. Please ask that your health be restored. Go. The next day, Quresh went in the temple of Varadraj and again mesmerized all the devotees and Lord Varadraj with his sweet singing the songs of the Alvars and chanting Harinam. At the end of the day, in the presence of all the devotees, Lord Varadraj spoke to Quresh and said, Quresh, you have won my heart. Ask me for any benediction. And remember, your Gurudev, Sripad Ramanujacharya, wants you to ask for restoring your health. Quresh looked down and said, my dear Lord, I can understand in my heart that my Gurudev is almost 120 years old now. And anytime he will wind up his earthly pastimes. But I want to die Saubhagyavati. I want to die Saubhagyavati. I want to die before my Gurudev. I do not want to see the Antyalila of Sripad Ramanujacharya. Therefore, my dear Lord Varadraj, I ask you for this benediction that I want to die. Gurudev said, go and ask Lord Varadraj to restore your health. And Sripad Ramanujacharya's instruction was one, but Quresh, the disciple, is asking for something contrary. Is this a contradiction? It is not a contradiction. The duty of a disciple is to please the Guru. And my dear friends, please know that Quresh understood the heart of Sripad Ramanujacharya. And he knew that by each benediction that he was asking, Quresh knew that internally I am pleasing my Gurudev the most. Because internally even Sripad Ramanujacharya wanted that Chatushgram should go to Vaikuntha. Kolatungak should go to Vaikuntha. So Quresh understood the inner meaning of Sripad Ramanujacharya's heart and he was giving him so much pleasure. This is Sad Shishya. Quresh said, I want to die. Varadraj, Lord Varadraj was in ecstasy hearing this, that Quresh wanted to die Saubhagyavati. He wanted to die before his Lord and Master, before his Gurudev. I don't want to see my Gurudev leaving this world. But I want to leave my body before my Gurudev so that when my Gurudev comes to Vaikuntha, I am standing at the gateway of Vaikuntha to receive Shri Gurudev. Lord Varadraj said, Quresh, you have won my heart completely. I not only give you the benediction that very soon you will leave your body and come back to me, you will come to Vaikuntha, but I give you this benediction, Quresh, that anyone hears about your character, anyone who hears your story, anyone who hears about your Guru Nishtha, anyone who hears about your Bhakti, anyone who is attached to you, anyone who is connected to you, Quresh, that person will also go back home, back to Godhead in this life. I give you this benediction, Quresh. I give you this benediction. All the devotees heard this, and so did Quresh. Quresh bowed down to Lord Varadraj, came out where Sripad Ramanujacharya was waiting. What happened, Quresh? Why are you so frail? Why are you so weak? Why are you so thin? What happened? Did Lord Varadraj not give you a benediction? Quresh was besides himself, shedding tears of love. He was overwhelmed with gratitude. He could not speak, but the devotees spoke. They said, Sripad Ramanujacharya, Quresh asked that he should die. And Lord Varadraj said that he will die, but he will go back home, back to Godhead. He will go to Vaikuntha. And anyone who is attached to him, anyone who is near and dear to Quresh, anyone who is connected to Quresh, that person will also go back home, back to Godhead, to Vaikuntha. When Sripad Ramanujacharya heard this, he became most blissful, and Sripad Ramanujacharya threw up his danda, threw up his uttariya, and started waving his uttariya and started dancing in ecstasy. The devotees were bewildered. Sripad Ramanujacharya, did you hear what you said correctly? Quresh asked that he dies. He asked for a benediction of death. Sripad Ramanujacharya said, yes, but did you not hear the whole thing? Did you not hear the whole thing? Lord Varadraj said that anyone who is connected to Quresh, anyone who is attached to Quresh, anyone who is related to Quresh will also go back home, back to Godhead. I am his Gurudev. After all, I am his Gurudev, so I am connected to him. So because of Quresh, even I get to go to Vaikuntha. Otherwise, I have no qualification. But because of Quresh, I will also go back home, back to Godhead. I will go to Vaikuntha. That's why I am celebrating. This was the greatness of Quresh, and this was the humility of Sripad Ramanujacharya. And very soon after that, my dear friends, in the presence of Lord Varadraj, with his head on the lap of Sripad Ramanujacharya, Quresh left this world. And later on, so did Sripad Ramanujacharya. And the same attitude of Sripad Ramanujacharya, the same simplicity and humility, our founder Acharya, Om Vishnupad Paramhams Parivrajaka Ashtottar Shata Shri Srimad Abhay Charana Arvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada also had the same spirit. In the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in the Dhruv Prasanga, Dhruv Charitra, in one of the purports, Srila Prabhupada writes, it is our prayer that at least one of our disciples should become a pure devotee like Dhruv Maharaj. And if one of my devotee, one of my disciple becomes a pure devotee like Dhruva Maharaj, then just like Dhruva Maharaj facilitated his mother to go back home, back to Godhead, by the purity of my devotee, my disciple, I, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, I will also get to go back home, back to Godhead. Srila Prabhupada is saying that if one of my disciples becomes a pure devotee, then by the power of that pure devotee disciple, I will also get to go back home, back to Godhead. This is Prabhupada, my dear friends. Such a Paramhamsa, Vraj Rasik Vaishnav, Mahatma, and he has this humility. The same humility and simplicity of the heart as Sripad Ramanujacharya. I want to speak so much more about Sripad Ramanujacharya. We have not even started about Sripad Madhvacharya, but we are way over time. And I also have some work to do, hospital-related work. So we will have to unfortunately end. But sorry, I went over time. Sripad Ramanujacharya ki jai.
Jai.
From this story, my dear friends, we understand exclusive devotion to Bhagwan. How for everything we are dependent on Bhagwan, Lord Varadraj. And Vaishnav Seva. Vaishnav Seva. And the danger of Vaishnav Aparadha. Attachment to Vaishnavas. Varadraj is saying anybody who has affection for Quresh will go back home, back to Godhead. This is the power of Vaishnav Seva. So my dear friends, these two Siddhantas from Sripad Ramanujacharya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took and gave us, and Srila Prabhupada is representing all those teachings. And evidence is Srila Prabhupada's purport in the 4th canto, Dhruv Charitra. With this, my dear friends, I would like to end my presentation. Shripad Ramanujacharya ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.